All right, we're live with our potato camera, and we're in a different spot here. We're in a different spot. We'll see how this goes, and let's bring up the stream. If you're watching a replay, appreciate you. Look, it's going, so that's good news. It's going. All right, turn that out. Oh, we got some people in here already. We are going to go over the Joplin Truck Show. I have some thoughts about that. And we are at home, of course. So I figured I'd get the microphone, and I figured I'd have the phones on me so we can do the Google thing. And we'll get some people in here, if you don't mind. Share this out, get some people in here, and tell you what happened to me this weekend. And we'll go over what we did at the show. We went Friday afternoon, evening, and we went all day Saturday. We did not go to the block party that they have after the convoy. I didn't realize that they were still having the convoy. I thought that convoy was virtual. I guess it was last year. And now the Joplin, the Guilty by Association Truck Show was supposed to be biannual, and it was supposed to have been last year. But of course, with the bid and all that, they canceled it, so they made it this year. And I guess they still did the convoy. I did not know that. And if I had known that, I probably would have tried to get the truck in there. But regardless, we had fun. Met up with a few people, so we'll get some people in here. We'll do our shout outs, and then we'll get it started. What's up? Shirt is that there, Terry? It's my death metal T-shirt, so and I'll talk about a record show that I went to today, and and what's the latest in the world of me, because I'm a narcissist and I have to tell you. So, all right, so let's do some shout outs here. Let's see, we got Overtaxed Minnesota. Dave, I hope you enjoyed the daytime views. I tried to get a live feed from the hayride thing. They have a tractor with a flatbed trailer that you can use as a shuttle, and that's a great way to see the whole show in the beginning. And then, if you don't feel like walking, and if you weren't one of the million people that had a cart out there, I highly recommend getting on that tractor and riding around. I tried to do a live feed, but apparently there was a bunch of other people using the signal there, and my signal was choked pretty bad. And when I got towards the back, like behind the pilot, it wouldn't even go. So sorry, Dave, I couldn't do that, and I didn't want to use up all my space on my phone by recording videos. I did record a couple small ones, and they're already uploaded to Facebook. Daniel Adami, what's up? Big Houston, Jonathan Wheeler, Pigtail, Scott SRO. I am a party animal, right? John Armstrong, SF Medic Smith. I already told you my shirt. Nothing Winnie. The Trashy Trucker Show. Did you have fun? Yes, I did have fun. Snorelord to the Lord. What's up? Ogar. John Armstrong. Virtual convoys. The convoy for Special Olympics that they have at this show. If you guys remember, I was in the convoy driving James' best truck, and Harold was behind me driving his truck with Mike Mentor. And that was, I think, 3 years ago. I could be wrong. 2 years ago, maybe. Dave said, yeah, it was good. We were busy with yard work. Grafton, what's up? Word up. Okay, RN, how's it going? Did Red Chicken did you? It's funny. I walked up to that truck, and I saw that it's a bigger Red Chicken. It isn't the same as mine. And I thought, make a funny video real quick, right? So how's the audio, guys? You guys hear me okay? John Armstrong, go to sleep. You have an early delivery appointment. Don't tell, man. Daniel, you're so bossy to John. You're so bossy. All right, so I'm gonna. First thing I did was Friday we went down there. We tried to meet up with Tex Crowley. He was busy. We never. I texted him. He was really busy. And he's kind of hard to kind of pin down at a truck show. So we just kind of wandered the west side of 43. because I wanted to save the east side of 43 for Saturday. Saturday, usually the better trucks are on the east side. And if you go to this thing year after year, you kind of tend to see the same trucks in the same areas. So I kind of knew what to expect. So we did that. We got a meal. We got a horrible meal at Wendy's. It was stupid because all the places were running out of food. And I wasn't really in the mood for Indian food. Met up with Big Rig CO. He was there. He was actually there with his big truck. He had parked at the Petro and poked around. Met up with him, and that's where you guys saw the first live feed. It was kind of dark, and then we left kind of early because I didn't want to be out till late. And then we came back at about 8 a.m. the next day, or 9 a.m. the next day. And the first thing we did was we met up with Tex Crowley at the Burnouts, and we watched that. Normally, I'm not a big Burnout guy. I'm not the guy that's like, woohoo, look at all that rubber. I'm not that guy, right? Nothing against that, but it really doesn't do anything. But we were standing in the right, perfect spot. Tex Crowley was working, so we chatted with him a little bit, and they started, and it was pretty cool because they had this little kid who has a YouTube channel, by the way, called Wee Pete. And if you guys saw any of the footage, he has a little tiny go-kart that has been fabricated to look like basically a miniature version of his dad's truck. He did a little burnout in his go-kart, and then somebody did a burnout in the NASCAR, and then then they had some of the trucks from the drag race and some of the trucks that are built for the burnouts, and that was pretty cool. And shortly after that, Tex Crowley was able to set up an interview with me with CDL Life. So there's an interview with CDL Life out there. I don't know when and how and where they'll post it, but I'll keep you guys posted on that. But before I did that, I went and saw Asian My Show, Alex over there. He told me to come by because I ran into him Friday night and chatted with him and got the picture with him. And he said, hey, come on by Saturday. We'll do an interview. I'll highlight your channel, because you're cool. And we've been talking about doing this for a while. And so we did. So I did that interview. And so I did 2 interviews. Then we walked around, went on the other side, and then we grabbed the, what do you call it? The hayride thing and ran around that. And by that time we were hungry. So we had lunch and hung out. We did that at the Petro. We hung out with Big Rig CO and his family. And then we, by that time it was kind of getting late. The trucks were starting to go to their meetings. And so we found our perfect spot for the convoy to see it depart. So and then we went home after that. Let's go some comments. Audio's good. Thank you. Well, Snorelord, I've been calling him since Friday. It didn't answer me at all or return my calls. And today around 5:30, he told me he had an early appointment. That's why I'm telling him to go to sleep. Okay. Columbia Chapitos, did you check out? Oh, yes, I did. I did check that out, dude. That's killer stuff. That's killer old school stuff. That was great. I appreciate that. I even have it on my Spotify history now. So thank you. I appreciate that, Columbia. So here's what I want to say. So number one, this truck show is about pride and polish. It's about historical trucks. It's about community. It's about families. When you look up Wee Pete, this little kid, I want to say he's around 8 or 9 years old, drives this little go-kart. It's got a flatbed trailer, and he's got a YouTube channel, and his dad has, basically it's a replica of his dad's truck, which is a Peterbilt 389. His dad obviously drives flatbed, and he was in the convoy. He actually took the little go-kart thing, and his dad was following him in the truck. It was pretty cool. These are people, a lot of farmers bring their farm trucks, a lot of trailer queens, of course, or they only drive 2 or 3 times a year for the shows. There was a great sense of community. That's the thing about this, just when you think that, and this has happened in the past, when you think that trucking's kind of gotten sketchy, or, the industry is dying, or, it's just, you can't have fun anymore. this truck show kind of shows you that trucking is not dead. Old school spirit is not dead. It is a dying breed. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, there are some elements that are definitely changed, but you know, and it is getting harder and harder for the small owner operator, you know, single truck or small truck fleet owner operator. Don't get me wrong. There's still issues, but this whole show kind of shows you that the spirit still exists, right? And you know, and one of my favorite sections this year that was pretty cool is at the Petro. At the Petro, let me mute this so it doesn't get to you guys here. At the Petro, they had the Historical Truck Association there. They had some trucks from the 50s, some old school cab overs. You know, I posted those pics on Facebook, and that was pretty cool. And I got to watch them fire up before they joined the convoy, so that was pretty cool. My wife thinks I'm weird, right? And so there was a Kenworth cab over, and the door was open, and I stuck my head in there, and I smelled the truck. I know that sounds funny, but it smelled like memories, because if you guys don't know, I used to ride in the cab overs with my dad, you know, in the 80s. You know, he was an owner operator, and also drove for Aaron's Automotive out of Springfield. And you know, I told my wife it smells like memories, and that's what it was. I mean, it wasn't a horrible smell. It's just that old, you know, trucks were built different back then. You know, the plastic was different, the rubber was different, the metal was different. You know, the layout was different. And I just want to drive one of those cab overs just one time, just to feel it, right? So we got to see them fire up, and then there was a whole back section in the corner of the Petro parking lot. You know, like if you had shower credits at Pilot, but you couldn't park at the Pilot, so you'd park at the Petro and get that one corner and just hop the fence to get to the shower. It was right there. You know, they had a section of trucks that was there, so that was pretty cool. There was more trucks than I thought there would be, and there was more people than I thought there would be. As far as the vid goes, other than some hand sanitizer and 2 or 3 people with masks, it was like nothing had happened. And if you went to Wendy's, they weren't scared of the vid at all. I mean, you were wiping off your own tables; they were slammed. If you wanted to get a meal at the Iron Skillet, good luck, because they only have half the tables running and half the staff. Even when it was busy, they didn't open anything up, and so there was always a 20 to 30-minute wait just to get in the Iron Skillet. We ended up going to Taco Bell. I broke my keto thing because I was just tired of fighting it, right? And you can only eat hamburgers for so long, but we'll get more into that another time. And when you watch the convoy, when you watch the community spirit, and Joplin embraces this show. That's the thing. Joplin really embraces this show. The downtown businesses love it. The community loves it. You know, if you are in the convoy, when you go down 43, you cross the interstate, you have, I mean, the whole route is lined with people cheering you on, and you honk the horn, and it's a great community spirit that just proves to you that trucking is not dead. The old school spirit is not dead, and community and small town atmosphere is not dead. So you did catch a live feed, Tolga. What's up? All right. So what was the topic for CDL Life interview? Health. Pigtail, I touched on health. Oh yeah, and I met up with Pigtail as well on Saturday. I expected to run into more people. I know that there was one person while I was being interviewed that said, "Hey, that's Snorelord," but they didn't approach me or anything. But yeah, we did meet up with Pigtail too. So the interview was primarily about just how I talk about health and talk about some of the struggles that we as drivers go through, and just my simplistic, pragmatic stoic approach to it all, and just, and the dangers that the industry faces. Hey, Snorelord, I caught some of your truck show video. I was in Fulton, Missouri, but had another load going back to Jacksonville out of Arnold. I was not close enough to Joplin. Check it out. Yeah, Fulton's kind of far away. It's like a 200-mile trip there. Let's see. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. I've spoken to more and more drivers who were once owner-operators and now are company guys who wish to never be owner-operator again. Columbia, well, here's what's interesting. So what happens is to be an owner-operator, it can be a struggle. There's a lot of, headache. Let me close that off. When I first decided to be an owner operator, there are a lot of people that told me, don't do it. It's a horrible time to buy a truck, blah, 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 blah. And what happens is the majority of people that weren't successful or didn't want to put up with the heartache of the distress of doing it, they're the ones that will tell you that they would never go back. Me, I'm the polar opposite. I probably will never be able to go back to being a company driver. I mean, that's just, now if I have to feed my family, that's my only option. Obviously, that's what I'm going to do. But as far as the pressures that company drivers face right now, I don't know if I can handle that as well as dealing with the stresses of being an owner operator. If I screw up, it's on me. If my tax bill gets too high, or if I get in too much debt, or if my truck keeps breaking down and I don't do anything to replace it, then that's on me. But too many people become owner operators in scenarios that they have no control over. So what they do is they sign a lease that sucks, or a lease that can't be completed, or it's very difficult to complete. It creates a financial strain. Or you go out and buy a $170,000 truck, realize that you can't make it work, and then now you're getting repossession. So there's a lot of aspects to why people will tell you that. So it's like any other entrepreneur deal. You got to live, eat, and breathe it. Even if you're not a born trucker, you still gotta pinch the numbers. You still gotta come up with strategies. You still gotta think outside of the box, and always be thinking of how you deal with things. Because and you gotta create a safety net. The bigger the net you have, the bigger the safety net you have, the easier it is to come and approach it. The easier it is to approach problems and solve them, or at least minimize their damage. So, hey Steve, how are you? I got 12 quail today. Sweet. I'm wore out. Look up Caesar shotguns. Okay, I will. Not weird at all. My daughters love the smell of my truck. I don't get it, but then I do. Cycling trucker, what's interesting is that diesel smells different now. Diesel had a different smell when it was before all the ultra low sulfur crap, right? You never heard of tanks having algae in them, because diesel was just pure. It's just, now the diesel that we get now is just, it's practically kerosene. So, dirty kerosene is what I call it. If you think about it, the trucking community is a lot like the metal community. It's a different area of people. It is, a lot of these people are probably people that are born into it, or it's been a family business for a long time. Because how many times have you guys heard of kids, acquiring companies, and then the companies go bankrupt because the kids just didn't have the same spirit? They used it like an open checkbook. They don't realize the struggle of having a trucking business and what that entails. And then there's the human factor. So many fleet owners, so many authority owners, so many companies don't take into account of what the human side of that. You think you can just put meat in a seat and sign on 10 contractors, and there's so many different elements. And if you have a high turnover rate, you need to figure out why. Is it the work ethic of the driver, or is it something that your company is doing, or is it a money issue? Can you be given more money? The company I was with, when I was a company driver, they had a longevity bonus, and that longevity bonus was as high as $6,000 that you got at the end of the year, for some of the veteran drivers. And when I first went to Transland, they don't have that program anymore, but they got something similar. But when I first went to Transland, there was a lot of drivers that had been there 5, 10, 15, 20 years. When was the last time you walked around the Schneider yard and came across somebody that's been there for 15 years? That's very rare. And so driver retention is the most important thing, especially if it's a good driver. If you got a driver that's safe, has a good attitude, and pretty much will beat your beck and call or be loyal to you, you want to do everything you can to keep that person. If they want to get their own authority, figure out a way, if you really truly want them to stay, figure out a way that you can make it work, that they won't want to go to that next step. But some of the best ones, like what we've had here at Lake Trucking, they move on because they want to go to that next step. We're a stepping stone. And that's something that Jeff promoted early in Lake Trucking, was he wanted to help people get to the next level. And people have, and so, but driver retention is very important, because, I can't tell you how many times we've gotten applicants that don't have a good driving record, or they don't even have a truck. They want to come over here, or they don't have certain things together that would make them an asset to the company, or, they've job hopped 15 times in the last, 4 years. If you find yourself job hopping a lot, there might be a possibility that there's something wrong with you versus the companies that you're signing on with. And maybe you hate trucking, that's the thing that you have to think about. And so, but when I see, now I don't see the actual applications, but, Jeff and I talk, and he's like, yeah, this person's got this person's got that. And, and finding quality drivers can be a challenge. Ask anybody who's in this chat that has their own authority that's trying to sign on drivers. I'm sure there's quite a few. And that's something that you have to, take into account. And so when you find the right person, then, do what you can to keep them. So, Truck for Life, what's up? Let's see, this thing always scrolls. Clyde, how's it going? Pigtail says it was a good crowd. 5.5 out of 10 new owner operators fail in the first 18 months. That is absolutely true, Pigtail. Rick Jones, long time no see. How you doing? I'm doing all right, Rick. And Pigtail brings up a good point. There really isn't a lot of great education for owner operators, because here's why. So let's say I want to be a Schneider owner operator. Schneider was a good place for me. However, they didn't have a system in place to keep drivers successful. In other words, if a driver was failing, the best that they could do was tell you to call Jeff, or tell you to call Big Rig CO, or tell you to call Steve Berger. They didn't have a program. Landstar had the cabs class, which they kind of give you tricks of the trade. They kind of introduce you to drivers that are doing very well. Now, there's some initiative that you have to do as a driver. You have to go up and talk to the successful people. You go to a Landstar yard, you find the guy with the nicest truck, and you say, how are you doing this? What can I do that imitates you? Find a successful person, And there's so many times that I've wanted to go up some of these guys with the nice trucks in Joplin and say, how do you do this? How do you make this work? And some of them I don't even have to ask, because they're running specialized, or, the truck's been paid off for 20 years. So that's why they're able to add to it, and that kind of thing. Excuse me. And there's really not, you can watch so many YouTube videos, and there's a lot of YouTubers, And some of you know who I'm talking about that really don't know much about trucking and being an owner operator, in the sense that you can be successful with their methods. That may sound like I'm attacking somebody, but I'm not. I'm just stating fact. You can't just solely rely on YouTube. You have to take everything with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, it's all about, it's not just work ethic, but it's it's attitude. Do you have the attitude to succeed? Do you have the attitude to take on any problems that you have that's going to come your way? Do you have control of your business? If you're making a high weekly truck payment and you're dispatched and you're making a mileage rate, you're less likely to succeed than a guy that's self-dispatched, that knows what he's doing, knows the industry, and has a low payment and is in control of his business. You know, um, if you're dispatched, you're at the mercy of the dispatcher. If you're on mileage rate, you're at the mercy of the miles, and if how much fuel you're burning on that load. If you're taking a heavy load up to Pennsylvania, tolls and fuel are going to be a lot higher than if you just took a load to Columbus, where it's flat, out of, let's say, Kansas City, and you're gonna net a little bit more on a mileage rate because you're burning less fuel. And then you have all the 1099 companies that aren't really legit. And then you have people that want to crack the whip and say you need to run 3,000 miles a week regardless, and you get one day off for every 14 days out. And to me, trucking is a lot more tolerable if you're in control of your situation. And so the owner operators that don't make it, the owner operators that have issues, I have found that most times it's things within their control, their attitude, their costs, their home life. If your spouse isn't on board, it's an uphill battle. If you got a lot of toys at home, it's an uphill battle. If you have a ridiculous truck payment, it's an uphill battle. If you have all the above, it's a wrap. You're not going to make it. That's just, prove me wrong, but 9 times out of 10, that's what happens. So, well, let's see. Steve, I was company most of my trailer trucking career. I have a retirement from it. Now I own my truck. I would never, no way, Jose, be a company guy again. Are we have the guitar today, by the way, sir? No guitar today. I would never be a company driver again. It just isn't that hard to be an owner operator. Right. And you've got the right attitude. I was telling Jeff on Friday, to me, it's easy. I took myself out of debt, $24K in 2 years as a company driver, essentially paved the way to become an owner op. And I used to use the same methods that you guys preach. Right. And look, the same goes for a company driver. If you're a company driver, figure out what your minimum that you need to make to pay your house bills and put some money in the bank. For me, it was 2,300 miles a week. As long as my company was running me 2,300 miles at the rate that I was getting, I was good. And most of the time I was above that, and I made good money. So, and I'm a family man. Right. And telling you, there's a balance of money and home time that needs to be achieved. It's tough. I mean, one of the things that makes it easier, especially in a self-dispatch company, is knowing the industry, knowing your area, knowing how loads work, knowing that it's a supply and demand issue, knowing how to deal with the brokers, and knowing how to deal with dispatchers, knowing how to deal with the people that may not know what they're doing. So, sorry. DIY Semi, what's up? Let's see. Well, I have about 11 more months to beat the stats then. Well, Chucky, you've got, here's why you're successful, Charles. You have a great work ethic. You're able to take your kids on the road with you at times, so that makes it a little bit better on the family. Your wife is heavily involved in your business, and you have goals. And you're one of the rare people that accomplish what most people can't. So that's something to be proud of, and that's why you getting your own authority was a natural, good progression. And you're gonna go gangbusters. But you have to admit that high truck payment definitely makes things more of a challenge for you. There's a little bit more pressure on you than, say, somebody in my shoes. And don't get don't get me wrong, guys. I need a glass of water. Don't get me wrong. I have it pretty easy. I'm not the sole breadwinner of my household. My wife has good benefits with medical and stuff like that. And I was telling her yesterday that I would have had to completely do things different if it was all up to me. And there might be a time where it might be that way. I might just say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna get my act together, and then you can relax a little bit and take care of things around here. But she does a great job. She is an excellent trucker's wife, and that's important, guys. That's important. Having a spouse that's supportive. Overtax Minnesota, his spouse sort of so supportive that they own the truck and drive it together. And husband and wife teams really do well out here. It's when the money's going in the same household, you can make gangbusters out here. John, I don't think it's a trucking thing. I think almost every industry is high turnover anymore. People don't have the same mentality that they did 20 years ago on the importance of having a job you retire from. John, it's hard to find the job that you retire from. For example, Zenith, the TV company, they used to have a plant here in Springfield, Missouri. And there were people that were there for 20, 30 years. I mean, just a long time. And one day when the jobs went to Mexico, boom, there's a lot of service industry here. So I always had the mindset that wherever I work, I want to stay there. I was never really a job hopper. But then I get laid off or, circumstances beyond my control. I've only been fired from 2 jobs. One was a telemarketing job, which I was glad to get fired from that. And then the second one was a Aaron's Automotive. And that was something that wasn't even my fault. Long story. But the reality is that the job situation are not jobs that you can retire from. I mean, you remember back a few years ago when everybody was like, people that did fast food, they were demanding minimum $15 an hour because that was their career. That was their career, not a stepping stone job. And so you got to kind of blame the government on that a little bit. They've taken, I mean, look at Detroit. They've taken the career longevity jobs and threw them out the window. And so it's hard to remain in the same career for more than 5 years. So, Desert Okie Pam, what's up? I've always been pretty tight with the money. Don't get me wrong. I loved my company time, which is only 3 years, and it helped learn the basics, train me to look for maintenance issues and drive hard. There you go. Hell, today's drivers have it made in the shade. Great Cadillac trucks to drive. Don't have to worry about unloading the trailer. Some do. Could I just left the house today? Cool. I just left the house today, going to North Carolina. I'll be heading back to the Midwest through Tuesday. Charles, I will send a text. Okay. Ghost Cat, it's day-to-day spending where people lose money and don't realize it. Ghost Cat, day-to-day spending and taxes. Ratman Roden brought up a really good point in one of my, I think it was last week's live feed, where he said that a lot of businesses fail because they fail to pay their taxes. And that's true. I know a business that's getting ready to go out because of tax issues. So, have you talked to your dealership on parts that are becoming harder to get, Steve? All right. So Thomas Wilson texted me the other day, or today actually, and said that it might be a good idea to stockpile parts. And while that might be a good idea, maybe it's like playing, it's a crapshoot, right? You don't know what part, like, let's say I spend like $5,000 getting these sets of parts and then my turbo goes out. Well, I've taken my maintenance money and didn't solve the problem that I need that money for. So, in some ways that's a good strategy, but in other ways it could go against you. So but that was a good topic there, Thomas. I do agree. And it is going to be survival of the fittest. So a strategy that I've been contemplating is if things go down to the level like Thomas Wilson's truck did, I would find another source of income. And I've got Jeff. I mean, I'm doing some stuff, for like trucking too. That helps. Um, but I might just have to get a second different truck. So I know somebody that did that. Undercapitalized, increases in insurance, and bad money management are top three reasons. There you go. And Pigtail's absolutely right. You don't have money in the bank. Your insurance goes up, especially if you got your own authority. That second year is a killer. And then you don't manage your money, or you burn yourself out. If you're the guy, I'm like, I'm a great work ethic, I'm going to stay out for 3 months. Great, but number one, your truck's then eventually going to ask for time off, and I don't care if it's new or not. And number two, you're going to need some time off. You are going to burn yourself out. I know so many people that made so much money at the end of the day, they lost all their money because they were burned out and the truck was burned out. Or when they paid off the truck, it was worthless. So balance, there's a balance there. And so you got to have money in the bank, you got to have good credit, and you got to have good money management skills, because that's the only thing that you've got control over. It does. The wife and I were just talking about the truck today. It is on my mind more than I would like. So I am turning out the miles right now while it gets good. Yes. I expect these rates to be good till about March or April, especially when more and more trucks go down and it can't be fixed. That's going to make it really tight, capacity really, really tight. And at some point, the shippers are just going to stop. They're just going to be like, we can't afford this anymore. And then that's when the wall will hit. I don't know when that is, but it will definitely be after Christmas. Rick LP, what's up? Checking in. Well, Steve, lots of jobs coming open in Indianapolis and high paying too. Rolls-Royce got the contract to build 680 plus engines for B-52s. Nice. 1,500 sensor cost me 55 to 60K. Yep. $1,500 sensor. Yep. Hell, I totally enjoyed my vacation, right? But see, you were set up to deal with that. With all them ships in the Long Beach port, do you think we're headed on a downturn? No. Just a matter of getting. Look, I made a delivery the other day where they could have unloaded me at the moment that I got there, but they had to make warehouse space, right? So it took about 2 hours. Think about that on a huge, huge level. That's what's going on the ports. And because the freight coming out of overseas has been sporadic, they like all at once and then nothing, and then all at once and then nothing. It's completely screwed up the supply chain. If you don't believe me, go to Walmart. Walmart's all jacked up. One day you go to Walmart DC and you get unloaded like that. Another day you go in there, it might take 2 days to check in. I've seen it. So Toga is listening. Good deal. Balance got it signing up for gymnastics class tomorrow. Good deal, little Viking coach. You will be successful. Rates will be good until I get my authority, 1 to 2 years old. Jacob B. Lanes, there's going to be shortages on emissions parts. I thought on this, it's going to get ugly. Yes, I agree with that. And there are some trucks for sale at the Joplin Truck Show. It's tempting. It really is, but no, I'm not panicking yet. A lot of the parts that have been in short supply, I've had replaced already. So, knock on wood, we'll see. And, look, at worst, the truck sits in the driveway and I just go get something else for a minute. So, how much fuel do huge ships use sitting in a port? I have no idea, Ghost Cat. Let's see. I hear Walmart is doing away with layaway for Christmas. John, I don't know. I mean, you got to be careful with I hear this and I hear that. I do know that they have way more containers in the parking lots than normal. Now, James Best has said that that's usually for layaways, but I think that it's got freight in them that they ordered now, or they ordered a month ago, and they're waiting to put it out. But there's a lot of freight that's not coming in. I mean, Halloween stores have been kind of bare because a lot of that stuff comes from China, and you're seeing last year's stock that really didn't sell because of the bid. So, but let's see. See if I can remember the number here. You guys want to do any call in? I did this last week, and everybody was like, "No, not calling in." Let's go to my contacts here. I'll put the number on here if you guys want to call in. It's a Google Voice number. Let's see. Oh, didn't even take. Man, I'm a horrible typist. The rate per mile is great. Rate per day is tough. 3 days to deliver 800 miles. If you're a lease op and truck goes down and you need parts, what are the companies doing for their drivers? Okay, Ghost Cat, we'll talk about that before we put the number out there. So if you're, let's use Schneider's example because I have a little bit of Schneider experience. Okay, Schneider Finance, they have an umbrella, right? In other words, they're not going to repossess your truck if you can't make the payments. Now, they're not going to get a rental for you, right? They might switch you to a different truck if one's available, but usually that's doubtful. And usually the drivers don't want to do that. Hey, this is my truck. This is the one I picked out. This is the one I bled in. This is the one I want. And so contracts can be renegotiated. Now, if you're a single one truck owner operator on your own authority, you have the option to rent a truck. Okay, but that gets expensive. And then also there's availability issues on that, right? So it just depends on the company. That's where the expensive leasing can actually come in handy, is you got a little bit of protection. And that's one of the things. If you're going to sign on to a lease, then you tell them, hey, what if this scenario happens? What is your protocol? That's an important question that you need to ask the carrier. So that was on your local news station. And it's possible, John. That's possible. The rate per mile. Okay, I already read that. So I mean that's now if you're on a Ryder or a Penske or a full maintenance lease, they're probably going to be able to get you another truck. But again, availability comes up, and if that truck goes down, I know somebody went through 3 lease trucks because they just kept breaking down. So please no call, and that's why I unsubscribed to Truckers Coach, Diesel Pro. Well, I understand that, Diesel Pro. The people that would call in are going to be, we're not going to, not trying to sound harsh, but there are some people that call in sometimes to these shows that really don't know much, and you just kind of have to shake your head. Less companies will be shipping things because of them ships sit out there being charged storage on top of that 20K. That's the containers cost, right? And look, inflation is going to be through the roof. I spent a lot of money this weekend just in food and gas, and I bought 2 T-shirts. I bought one off of Alex, and I bought one from the show, and I bought some records today at a friend of mine's booth. But meat is becoming expensive. Going out to eat, if they didn't raise their prices, they've lowered their portions. I went to one place. I took my oldest daughter out to eat for lunch on Friday, and the portions were definitely way smaller. It was a barbecue joint. So no drama calling. Yeah, it's no drama calling, right? Hello, Viking coach. What is up? Thank you for that thumbs up. Hammer. Hit the thumbs up. That's what he's saying. Hammer the thumbs up. So, um, I think that a lot of call-in shows, Diesel Bro, I understand that. It's just kind of echo chambers. And sometimes you get somebody on the line that just won't stop talking. So, and it's tough. You don't want to be an ass and hang up on them, but you know, we had somebody call in last week, and I think it did okay. So let's see, one, and this could be a failed experiment. So you know, you never know. All right, I've got two keyboards in front of me, so it's kind of so. There's the number. I bought some steaks today on the way home, and the price per pound is almost double since I've been home. Yes, Thomas, steak is ridiculous. So we're looking to buy a whole cow or whatever. A lot of chain smokers be calling truckers coach with low IQ sound like Waylon Jennings. Look, there were some really good call-in shows, but sometimes you can't just convey what question you're asking when it comes to the chat. So, but last time I did this, no one wanted to call in. So, and I don't know how it's going to sound with the microphone, but anyways, the Joplin show was great. If you're losing hope in our industry, go to the Joplin Truck Show. I highly encourage it. Go to the Guilty by Association Truck Show. Look at the community. Look at the it was just a great place, right? Hardly anybody was rude. You know, there wasn't any, oh, what do you call it? There wasn't there was no animosity. You didn't feel any tension, right? Now there was one guy that was open carry. I'm like rolling my eyes, like, okay, whatever. Like, this isn't a high crime place area. You're just, strutting your stuff around. But no local meat market. You're answering Ghost Cat. If you want to listen to a call-in show, I'd rather listen to a podcast. Well, nobody calls in anyway, so it's not a big deal, first class. But see, we've been at this for 47 minutes. I think I've said all I need to say, pretty much. I mean, just the truck show was. Oh, here we go.
Big tail.
Hey, what's up, man?
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
What's up?
To accept, press 1.
All right. I don't know what happened there. So. But I wouldn't mind hearing somebody else's. Look, Asia My Show's been doing a lot of interviews from the Joplin Truck Show. I pressed 1 accidentally and laughed my butt off. But anyways, guys, maybe we'll just end it here. I said what I needed to say. I've been kind of trying to figure out which direction my channel needs to go. I feel that I'm stale. I feel that at some point the echo chamber just gets too much. I say the same things over and over. A lot of us YouTubers do. I'm trying to get my analytics in a way that's more beneficial, without losing the true spirit of my channel. So I'm having trouble adjusting to that. I haven't done any more GoPro vlogs because I do the same loads all the time. So I'm trying to figure that out. So yeah, I don't know what happened, Pigtail. I got some weird, do I take crank callers? No. But Jim Crow, a lot of change. Okay, I already read that. So anyways, guys, and it's tough. We've got 20 people here, so apparently, no one wants to call in stuff. Yeah, it's your refrigerator. You can't do prank calls anymore, right? Anyways, if you guys don't have, where do total trucks go? I don't know. Salvage yards for parts. I have a friend of mine that needed a new DEF sensor, and he ended up having to buy a whole new DEF tank from a salvage yard that had a wrecked truck. So that's another option. Check the salvage yards for your parts that you might need. Top of the evening, just walked in the door. TJ Jones. What's up, man? Been listening to Sage News, pretty interesting. Look, whether you like the guy or not, you can't deny that some of the stuff he's talking about you can see, right? So he posted an article that was pretty much the transcript from the summit that was in Alaska back in March, and basically China laid out their plan. All right, let's try this here.
John?
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
You're on. What's up?
Not a whole lot. Just, I'm watching the chat and enjoying the conversation, and I've always wanted to have a conversation with you, so I guess this is my chance.
What was that last part?
I said I always want to have a conversation with you. I enjoy your content. I like, I'm into music, plus I'm an ex-truck driver, so
Awesome.
I enjoy your channel. And I also follow, like, Mr. James Best and Jeffrey Lake. So.
Oh, cool. Right on, man. I appreciate
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, and basically, I was just going to tell you about my trucking story, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I used to be a truck driver, started out in 2008, and started out with Transport, and man, that was a struggle. And I was lucky to make $500 a week when I was working for them guys, and I was after trained. 24 cents a mile. That was crazy. And then I had a friend of mine that had his own trucking company, and very rare with 6 months experience is you can get on with an owner operator,
Mm-hmm.
So he brought me on to drive his truck so he could stay home, and because his kids were in sports and stuff, so he wanted to be home with his family.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a set load basically. I live in Michigan, so we did mainly automotive parts. So I had a set load that would run out of Detroit to Kentucky twice a week, and then I would run up on Thursday. I'd go up to Rochester, New York, and I'd be back in Detroit. I'd leave Rochester at 3 in the afternoon, and I could be back in Detroit at 10 o'clock at night.
So it was like
home on weekends.
It was like a dedicated run. It was like a dedicated run, right?
Yeah, and
Awesome.
It was awesome. But then me being an idiot, young, immature truck driver, I had another truck driver come up to me in Fear Island and say, "Hey, what kind of run are you on?" And then they underbidded us, so we lost that contract, which was kind of pretty common. People are pretty, in this industry, people are pretty cutthroat, and so a Canadian ended up taking that run, so we lost that. So we did the C.H. Robinson stuff for a while, and I hated that just because a lot of those loads were so heavy, and the truck I was driving was a 2005 Freightliner Classic, the big goods.
Mm-hmm.
And they're already heavy trucks, so I hated You always had to mess with fifth wheel or tandems to get your weight right. And a lot of times, even if you got your weights right, you're still over. And so we ended up leasing on with a company called KC. They go through Missouri a lot. They do a lot of board loads out of Claycomo, Missouri, out of there in Kansas City. And they go to Nashville, Illinois. So we did that. I did that for a while. I did that for a couple of years straight. And the cool thing is, my owner-operator didn't care what I did. I could pick the loads. As long as I got the miles, he didn't care what I did. So it was almost like my truck, I got to do what I want, go where I wanted, call what I wanted. And it was really great. And then I did that for 3 or 4 years, or enough to down to Illinois and Missouri and stuff like that. And then and stuff like that. But
well, it sounds to me it sounds to me like Stevens was a challenge because big carrier. I think they're governed at 60 miles an hour. You were all over the place.
62 at the time.
Oh, 62.
And then they were like, he had there's a probation period where you're on grad 1, grad 2. And then, they ran me. I was always running, I never missed the load, and this is back before 2008, 2009, UPSs were just coming out, so I did it all with just Atlas, pen and paper,
Yeah, excuse me. I remember those days. Go ahead.
And this was OTR, going to Los Angeles, and it was like, in some sense, the training was good because I was very green driver, so I did need that training. But because that was a good thing with the Primes and the Stevens. So you go to 1 or 2 weeks, and I don't know if that's not maybe for some drivers, but not every driver. And so I'm not going to bash the company for, I'm actually kind of grateful because they did give me a chance.
Well, see, that goes to attitude, right? So you look back on those days and you're grateful, and that's that's what a lot of people can't do. They can't look back at, you got to realize that the horrible experiences that you have taught you a lot. And you did your struggles through there. So when it came time that you could choose your own freight, it made that a lot easier. All that training was good on you. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm one of those people try not to burn bridges,
Yeah, that's a good way to be.
Even if they're big, no matter how big company, it's just, come respect. I'm kind of old school, I'm sure I'm taught to say yes sir, yes ma'am, and stuff like that. And so, but yeah, and then I got this. But the issue when you work for a friend, because when you work for an owner operator and he's your friend, that could be a bad thing too. Because we had some.
Yeah, I agree.
I felt like I was being undervalued.
Yes.
Because I would put in, all week, come home, basically get home Saturday morning, Sunday night, just enough for a restart. And, but when my boss was only paying me $600, and I know he was making a lot more money than that, $600 a week, Plus I was, I wasn't getting benefits either because, just a single truck on or off, so it was just $10.99, So basically basically I was like a, independent driver anyway. So, so a lot of people are telling me I was taken advantage of and stuff like that. But I stuck it out just because the loads were so easy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I loved the truck I was in. Like, I don't know what it was, but those trucks back then just seemed like they just ran better.
Yeah, the DPF stuff is definitely, it's definitely a factor on the reliability of trucks. Very rarely, well, no, I'm not going to say that. Like, a lot of my issues have been DPF related in the early part of my truck, but here lately it's been mechanical stuff that, because stuff wears out after 6 years, but yeah, DPF stuff is definitely, it shortens the life of these trucks. You take that DPF system out, you got a long lasting truck. Joplin Truck Show, there was a ton of trucks there that were 20, 30, 40 years old that were still running freight, but anyways, I'm gonna hang up on you, man. I appreciate you calling in. Thanks for your story.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, the next time you're on, if you ever do a music one, I'll call it again. I'm a big Metalhead too. So we'll talk music next time.
Right on. Cool. All right, man. Later. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Snorelord. Appreciate it, sir.
You're welcome. All right. So that was our second call-in ever. So I appreciate that. I don't even know who that was. So yeah, the EPA doesn't care about the longevity of trucks. And now, look, Pigtail made a point that they might be thinking that this stuff's killing the bees, which that's not good. There was a truck for sale at Joplin that was like a 2006. Oh, my battery's getting low. So it was tempting. It was tempting to think about it, but man, the battery just died on this really quickly. So anyways, guys, I'm out. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you want to do more call-ins. It won't be like every week. It won't be like every time I'm on. Just every now and then when I'm at home, and I'll announce it on the deal, see what the numbers look like. But I appreciate, I agree, Rick. I appreciate you guys calling or calling in. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up some more if you haven't done it already. And, I'll be back to work on Tuesday, and we'll see what happens. So if you guys got any ideas of what you want me to talk about on the podcast style stuff, anything you want to know, I don't know it all. In fact, sometimes I'm, but I do what I can. I've got a little bit of experience, and I know what doesn't work. So I've definitely learned that. So with that being said, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Peace out.